Hey everyone, I had a couple of videos that I had posted, but I've gotten a couple of questions, so I think they're maybe a little bit confusing, so I'm going to try to record a new one. So if you haven't watched them yet, yay for you. Um, we are now in week 3 of the class, so when you are in Canvas and you go to modules, we're on week 3. I'm going to skip down to the learning activities and just start there, and that will hopefully clear up a few things. So I sent out an email. I think I've had it now in 2 emails. Information about the human subjects protection, the consent forms, the things that we need to have in place before you all can start your study in the fall. Um, in those emails, I had you think about whether you may or may not want to publish your findings in the future or present them anywhere outside of your school or ISU. And so in this, on this page, there's a Google form where you can go to. Some of you have already completed this. If you haven't already done this, please do so ASAP. So far, everyone has said no. That doesn't mean that you have to say no. If you do want to seek IRB approval, there are a few more hoops we have to jump through, but that's totally fine. This is relevant because part of what I'm going to be talking about in the video is related to those hoops we have to jump through, and part of it is what we do if we don't. So going back to where we're at in our learning activities, if you do decide you want to submit an IRB application, and that would be if you want to publish in the future or think you might, or present your findings from your study at a conference somewhere outside of ISU or your school, then you do have to submit for the Institutional Review Board an application, and that goes through a portal called Cayuse. If you do not want to publish in the future or share outside of ISU or your school, you do not have to submit your papers through Cayuse. So that was a point of clarification because I think in the videos before there was some people thought you had to submit things through Cayuse, but that's not the case if you do not want to seek IRB approval. If you don't want to seek IRB approval, I am the person who approves everything, and either way, even if you do, I'm the person who initially approves all of your materials. So the first thing that you're going to complete is a study summary form. So on the study summary form, the first thing that I want you to just take a look at is our human subjects research page at ISU. This will help you to understand how to complete the rest of that form, and it will help you whether you do or don't want to seek IRB approval. So it will tell you about the different review levels and how you determine what those review levels are, and that helps me, even if you're not seeking IRB approval, to look at your materials and know exactly what you plan to do with them in the future. So the form that you have that you can use, let me pull that back up here a second. It has information that you'll submit. So no matter what you are planning to do, this first page you'll complete regardless of the type of study that you're doing. So when you get down to the bottom of the page and it asks for review level, there's exempt, expedited, or full. Nobody in this class ever has to go for full approval because that would be a very extensive study that has a lot of risks, and we don't do that type of research in this course. So it would always be exempt or expedited. Oftentimes it's exempt. Expedited is a few more things. So read the descriptions on that website to decide which one you feel like is best for you. So once you decide, like I said, most of you will be the exempt, you'll click whichever is appropriate for where you're at, and it will take you to the page where you'll start entering your information. So some of these things, like your city completion number, you can find, just enter all that kind of information. This is considered thesis research, even though it's not technically a thesis. So you would have the yes there. You can leave that. Most of these I've already answered for you. And then you'll make a decision about what type of exempt research you're doing. And there's more information about this. So this information you're going to complete no matter what type of study you're doing, and no matter whether you are submitting this to the institutional review board or not. The difference is you'll only be completing this for the level of risk, I guess you would say, that your study aligns with. So if your study is exempt, you would complete this. If it is something that you're doing like a survey or an interview, observations, that would be an exempt category 2. If you are looking at, like somebody's looking at attendance and academic achievement, and you're just looking at general information that you get through Skyward or whatever program your school uses, that would be exempt level 1. So once you figure that out, then you can go and finish the rest of this paperwork. Along with this, you'll be completing consent forms, depending on the type of research you're doing. If you are studying populations over the age of 18, so say you are doing surveys or interviews of other teachers at your school, then you would complete the participant consent form. If you are conducting research with your students and they're under the age of 18, which is the case for most of you, you would complete a parent permission form as well as a student assent form. So you might be thinking, oh my goodness, where do I find all of this information? There are examples, there are templates for all of these different pieces. And I think there's a little confusion because those actually fall under week 4, even though this overview information is in week 3. So once you go into week 4, that's where, let me find this page, you'll find the forms that you can fill out, the human subject protection form, which is what I was just on. There's a consent template, a parent permission template, a student assent template. So you can open those up, complete those depending on who your participants are, and you'll upload those as assignments that are due on June 18th. Okay, so I know this isn't due for a little while, but I also know that this can be a lot and a little bit confusing. So I hope that this helps. If you still have questions, please let me know. And I'm happy to set up individual meetings or look at different materials you have or answer any questions that you might have through email.